Hello and welcome back to Let's Play Wrath of the Righteous with me, Bring It On. Let's continue towards Kenabres for Camellia's quest. You know what? I am going to rest. We have a lot of decrees to get through, so we need to kill a lot of time. What better way than sleeping? My precious mirror. As long as you keep showing me this beautiful face, I know fortune will continue to smile on me. Very Snow Whitish. Blur's Fall. I wonder if we can move past this. Yep, can walk right through it. Alright, so these guys are a little concerning. Hopefully between my general and my archers, they'll no longer be a threat. I try not to waste any more energy on this fight, especially since it's just the one unit, and he's not really a threat to us. Especially now. Fantastic. I believe this is a fort as well, so that's another fort claimed for the Crusade. It's probably a good one to put a teleportation circle in too. It's pretty far to the west. In fact, besides this one, yeah, we'll see. Alright, so this army is a little scary. My general won't be able to do everything by himself, since all of his damage is fire damage. Good, quick save. We'll take it on anyway. I think we'll be fine. But we'll see. Oh. They hit a little harder than I thought they did. Okay, these guys can tank for us at least. Can do some decent damage. I did not think the elementals were that strong. We do need to get some heals out. Let's heal our champions. Alright. A little scary. Didn't expect the fire elementals to hit that hard. Low rumbling comes from the mouth of the volcano. 3 drawings cover the surrounding stones, indicating that this place was once used for sacrifices to the fire in the depths. These drawings are much older than Sarkoris. The powerful demons managed to subjugate both the energy of this place and its keeper spirits. Alright, let's go back around this way. Then we'll head up north. You know what, it might not be a bad idea. I wasn't going to hire another general, but she's already been paid for. I don't expect her to do anything useful, but... it can't hurt to have another general over there, I guess. Alright, continue to Kenabres. Hopefully for the last time, because it is extremely out of the way. Darn. That is my favorite food. This is also really good. Alright, let's select that one then. Can shamans feel lonely? They're surrounded by spirits who wish to talk. Have you ever heard the expression lonely in a crowd? It can be the same with spirits. A lot of fire-resistant enemies here. Well, in the western part of the map, this is the second army we fought where all the enemies are immune to fire. That's fine, I guess. Having dealt with the creatures of fire that came to Galarian for reasons unknown, the soldiers discovered a strange twig amidst the ashes, still burning with unholy fire. This dangerous find was handed to the commander with great precaution. Fire of Baphomet. The followers of Demon Lord Baphomet commit countless crimes to earn his favor. Curious was a servant of Desna who was in charge of the temple shelter, but secretly worshipped the Lord of Beasts. He took advantage of his position to build a cunning maze in the temple's secret basement and filled it with fierce and bloodthirsty monsters. Each night, Curious cast an overly trusting vagabond or homeless person into the maze, where they met their grisly end. The cultists spread heresy and depravity, corrupting the other priests. Baphomet took note of his servant's guile and bestowed an incredible gift upon him, a spark of the flame gracing the brow of the Lord of Monsters himself. The lantern containing this spark could summon fiery denizens of the abyss, and its swaying could hypnotize or conjure terrifying illusions. Curious enshrined the flame of his lord and master at the very heart of his maze. But soon enough, an incredible thing happened. A lonely beggar boy, a frail and timid creature, fell into Curious's clutches and was cast down into the maze. Somehow, he managed to survive and reach the very center of the trap. He reached out for the flame with his scraggly hands, and was gone. Frightened and furious, Curious found the empty shrine and set out to pursue the pilferer. He feared that Baphomet might learn about his failure and punish his negligent servant. After a while, he learned of entire villages reduced to ash by fiery creatures, with the survivors driven insane by the eerie glow of a sinister flame. They raved and rambled about a frail beggar boy with hellish fire in the palm of his hands. Curious tracked the young man down. Fear tugged at his heart and nudged him towards madness. When he finally reached the boy, the beggar laughed and turned into a cocky young man, decked in the garb of a Baphomet cultist. The grinning rogue said it was the Lord of Monsters himself who had inspired him to steal the unholy flame, and even devised the guise of the feeble child. Curious's failure would be his downfall, and the sneaky thief would take his place as Baphomet's most loyal servant. A fight broke out where both demon worshippers sought to destroy one another, but neither could gain the upper hand. When they became tired, the Lord of Beasts' flame slipped from the thief's sweaty hands and fell into a pile of dead branches. Fiery creatures emerged from the fire and surrounded the weakened priests, the monsters' eyes glowing like embers. The cultists pleaded with their master for protection, but their appeals fell on deaf ears. The spawn of Baphomet's flame feasted on the sinner's flesh all night. When the fire burned out, only a tiny spark of the unholy flame was left smoldering among the remains. You would think that the guy that had the artifact, the thief, would have had the upper hand in that fight. Otherwise, what's the point of the artifact? Okay. The other level 8 fights have been a little tougher than that one. The group of the Templars of the Ivory Labyrinth fought desperately, choosing death before imprisonment. Among the trophies, soldiers found a lot of loot taken during the raids on the cities of Mendev. A Ring of Evasion. We've read it before, but I'll read it again. This ring continually grants the wearer the ability to avoid damage. The player had evasion ability. Whenever she makes a reflex saving throw to determine whether she takes half damage, a successful save results in no damage. Alright, so I still don't want to fight this army yet. I don't think we have the power to do so. I could be wrong. We might one-shot the air elementals and the... what are they called? Well, the Audrus. Well, they have fire resist, so maybe not. Nope, nope. Do not want to take that fight yet. Alright, so we can't go west here. So we'll go back down this way, and I think we can go west here. Or this path will take us up here. That one doesn't seem so tough. Alright, we finally made it. To the Gwerm Mansion. I have a sneaking suspicion that this is a one-way trip for one of our companions. Why'd it put me in the middle of the map? I do like how they keep the market square available, because there's so much stuff to do there, it'd probably be very easy to miss stuff. I read the description for this place, because we've been here before.
Ready for anything?
I should probably buff up. I'm not going to. Lady Camellia, welcome home. We've been expecting you. Camellia looks at the servant for a few moments, bemused. You have been expecting me? Indeed, my lady. Lord Gwerm ordered that you be sent to him as soon as you arrived. The commander is permitted to follow you, but I must ask your other companions to wait here. Refreshments will be served. Camellia, what's going on here? How curious. Horgus is here and waiting for me. But how did he know? Forgive me for being unable to answer your question, my lady, but those were the precise instructions I received from Lord Gwerm this morning. Camellia, do you know this man? I have never set eyes on him before. I took up my position here relatively recently. I was hired specifically to serve Lord Gwerm at his mansion in Kenabres. Why can't my companions come in too? Lord Gwerm was most specific in his request, and I'm afraid I cannot speak for his reasons. I can only assume that the conversation will be of a most delicate nature. Please, my friend, let's acquiesce to Horgus's request. I don't wish to make a scene before I fully understand what is going on here. I see you managed to fully repair the mansion after the demonic invasion. Indeed we have. Fortunately, the mansion was almost unharmed. Many items survived the attack, and Lord Gwerm was able to find comparable replacements for those that didn't. Fine. So where should we look for Where should we look for Horgus? Lord Gwerm must be somewhere upstairs. He bid me say that Lady Camellia will have no trouble finding him. Please, do come in. Camellia strokes her chin pensively. I was not expecting this. I thought the mansion would be empty, picked to the bones by marauders, if it were standing at all. But seeing it fully restored and inhabited. Camellia narrows her eyes at you. Well, it would be extremely impolite to keep our host waiting, wouldn't it, my friend? Let's go and have a chat with Daddy Dearest.
Time's not waiting. I know what to do. I'll go ahead.
Lady Camellia, we've been expecting you. Doing what's around. I doubt there's... Oh, no, there's more loot. And some loot that I left behind before.
I know the way.
Alright, so that's the same description as before.
Follow my lead.
Ah, this is the room of my first mentor. Ah, this is the room of my first mentor. Take a look around if you want to. I'm sure you could find many of the curious tools and devices she used during our lessons. Camellia runs her finger over bundled whips and floggers, packed neatly in a drawer, touching each of them with care. I remember them all. This one makes thin wounds on the skin like a razor blade, while that one shreds skin to pieces. As for that one, the black one, it doesn't leave any marks on the skin at all. It deals so much pain your head spins. Why was your mentor so cruel to you? I don't know. Perhaps the old hag was once trained in the same way, or perhaps she simply hated me. Besides, in her eyes I was not the daughter of a noble family, They're merely some urchin that the Honorable Horgus Gwerm decided to take in off the street. Why did Horgus allow the Varisian woman to treat you like that? Camellia shrugs. She moved into this house a few years after my mother's death. Horgus often had to go out to Kenabres on business. They gave me to the care of that old shaman, hoping that she would teach me to keep the spirits on a short leash. That old hag must have known what she was doing. What she was doing was illegal. She was very good at hiding the evidence of her teaching. She always made sure to heal my scars by the time my father came back. Anyway, the Varisian didn't even last 3 months here. Oh, how she wheezed when I plunged my stiletto into her throat. And her eyes, shocked and terrified in equal measure. The old crow never suspected a 6-year-old girl could be capable of such a thing. Why is Horgus still keeping all these things around? Because I asked him to. I want to remember the pain, but the pain the Varisian dealt to me, and the pain I paid back to her. The hatred I felt toward her lives in me to this day. Every time I enter this room, my hands start to tremble, my heart pounds, as if it is trying to jump out of my chest. Camellia licks her parched lips. That burning hatred is my most vivid childhood memory. Now let's get out of here. Yes, let's go. Well, that might explain a couple of things.
As it should be. That is not far.
I don't know if we've been to the garden before. Or to the basement for that matter.
I'll go ahead.
I'm pretty sure some of these places were blocked off previously.
I know the way.
Who's ever heard of camellias that bloom all year long? There must be magic involved, I'm telling you. Ah, camellias. They're still in bloom, I see. Ah, camellias. I see they never stop blooming. She smirks. My father's orders, the garden must have camellias in bloom all year long. Whatever the season, whatever the weather. Why does he even bother, do you think? Is this a grave? You're right. It wasn't that hard to guess, was it? I mean, not if I could spot it. This is the grave of my mother, Iris. She died when I was a child, so I scarcely remember her. I don't understand. Why would Horgus tend to this grave all these years? Why would he plant camellias all over it? But my father has never shown any tendency towards sentimentality. Camellia turns away. I hate these flowers. We're not done talking. Alright, whatever.
Follow my lead.
So assuming he's upstairs in that hidden room that we spoke to him in last time, I'm gonna go to the basement first to see if we can't
As it should be.
dig into more for memories. As the saying goes, every family has a skeleton in its closet. In my case, all the skeletons are hidden in the cellar. I just read that. Camellia smiles fleetingly at her own joke. This place holds special significance for me, because this is where I killed those thugs who tried to rob Horgus' mansion. They were caught by the guards, and I sacrificed them to Mariah. This is where they are buried. I still find it hard to believe that Horgus allowed you to kill people just like that. I think he had no choice. He could not cure me of the spirits' influence no matter how hard he tried. Nor could he hand me over to the authorities of Kenabres, because then I should have certainly declared myself to be his illegitimate daughter and revealed all his secrets to the world. That would have stained the glorious name of Horgus Gwerm, that my papa values even more than his own life. I suppose he could have killed me and buried me right here in the cellar. She shrugs hesitantly. I have no idea why he didn't do it while I was a little girl, and he could overpower me. Nevertheless, I can assure you that all my victims buried here were hardened criminals and thugs. No one shed a tear when they never returned from the Gwerm Mansion that night. So how many skeletons are buried in this cellar? Oh, not as many as you may have assumed. Just the 2, not counting the Varisian. It's a 40. Camellia's gaze wanders without stopping on anything in particular. It seems she is remembering, reliving, all the sacrifices she made here. Yeah, I guarantee there's more skeletons than those 3. We have to go.
I hope you appreciate this.
Welcome to my room, my friend. With an inscrutable smile, Camellia looks around. I was about to apologize for the mess, but it appears the servants were ordered to clean this room. Well, do you have anything to say about the place where I spent my formative years? There are bars on the windows. Camellia turns to the windows and looks at them closely, as if seeing them for the first time. Then she shrugs. They were always here. I moved to this room immediately after my mother died, and this is where I stayed, leaving it only on rare occasions. I suppose my darling papa was afraid that I'd slip out without him knowing. Foolish man. If I'd ever really wanted to escape, no bars on the windows could have held me. This bed looks too big for a child. I never thought about it. This bed was mine from the very beginning, as well as the countless dresses in the closet, the bouquets of flowers on the windowsill, and the sumptuous meals the servants used to bring me for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and any time I wanted in between. I suppose the servants must have been whispering about me in dark corners, trying to understand why this strange girl was living here in the lap of luxury, although I never cared much about their gossip. Besides, Horgus changed servants as often as he changed his gloves, so none of the staff were ever here for very long. There are so many books in here. I've always loved reading. Books open entire new worlds to me. I could visit them all without ever leaving my chair. That's a hefty-looking lock on the door. Only Horgus himself and the mansion's head guard had a key to this lock. Even the servants had to call one of them to open the door so they could bring in my lunch. Sometimes I was allowed to leave the room, take a stroll in the garden, or to attend a fencing class with a specially hired teacher. Sometimes, Horgus even took me out into the city when there were festivities, or if a trade caravan had arrived from faraway lands. But every time he did, he made me promise that I would keep within 10 paces of him at all times. A promise. Ha, if that could ever stop me. You live like a bird in a cage. A gilded one, but still a cage. That's true, but this cage suited me perfectly. Freedom is always romanticized in books and songs. Artists love to glorify it, but most of them live in penury. Penury? They are beautiful ideals to be sure, and I would happily read about them after yet another delicious dinner, ensconced in my soft, warm bed. Let's keep going.
That is not far.
I'm hoping that perception check I've failed is not a prerequisite to get her good ending.
I'll go ahead.
So there was a perception check
I know
in
the
this
way.
room.
I heed the voice of the spirits.
It's a decent perception, but it's not...
The spirits guide me.
not perfect. And she didn't make the check herself.
At your discretion.
Let me check one thing. Where is...
Follow my lead.
I didn't actually see where we failed that perception check at. I think it's fine. It may have been a dialogue check. But one that doesn't tell you when you fail it. Are we sure to find Horgus in his secret study? Camellia licks her parched lips. Before we enter, I should like to ask you one question, if you don't mind. You know our family's history better than anyone else in the world. Tell me, what do you think of Horgus as a father? I mean, I don't think he's the worst either. He did take care of her. He didn't abuse her necessarily. You know what? Yeah, I'm good too. He's not the best, but not the worst either. I'm sure he tried his best. That's what you think. Amelia's gaze wanders the room, never resting on anything in particular. Why are you asking? No special reason. Camellia turns her distracted gaze on you. I just wanted to know your opinion on my father before we meet him face to face. Well, hello, father. Horgus raises his head and stares vacantly at his daughter for several moments. Then he nods and drains a goblet before him in a single huge gulp. You can smell the sour reek of stale alcohol in the air. Hello, Camellia. So, you finally came. You even dragged the commander along. I suspected that you wouldn't come here alone. You know, I've been wondering when you'd finally show your face here. Haven't I always taught you that it is extremely impolite to be late for an appointment? Camellia wrinkles her nose in disgust. Papa, you stink. I believe you will forgive me this weakness, under the circumstances. And if you don't, you can always leave. I won't stop you. The door is right over there. Horgus chuckles bitterly, refills his goblet. Horgus, you're expecting us. This isn't a chance meeting. It was not you I was expecting, although I thought you might put in an appearance. No. I was waiting for Camellia. Some time ago, I received a letter from my beloved daughter, in which she invited me to meet her here at my mansion in Kenabres. I came as quickly as I could. I've been here for several days now, waiting for my dearest daughter to arrive. Horgus frowns at you, examining your face. Don't tell me you knew nothing about this meeting. Could it be that my sweet girl has you wrapped around her little finger, that she tricked you into coming here to watch the spectacle unfold? The little minx. He gesticulates wildly, spilling half the contents of his goblet on the floor. What did you do after I left for the Abyss? I left Dresden as soon as the Queen took hold of the reins of government. Of course, I highly respect our dear Galfrey, but as you I had followed into the crusade, not her. For whatever reason, I do not believe our Queen will succeed in her attempts to defeat the wound. So, I moved to Nerosian while my mansion in Kenabres was under renovation. Horgus turns his eyes on Camellia and shrugs. But none of that matters anymore, does it? I came here to help Camellia talk to the spirits. I didn't expect to meet you here. Surprised, were you? As for me, I knew the moment I received her letter why she wanted to meet with me. She wants to talk to the spirits, does she? How can you spend so much time with my talented daughter without realizing that whenever Camellia wishes to talk to a spirit, it always involves... Horgus gulps. Murder. I have no idea what kind of spirit she has in that bone trinket, but why would it want so much blood? Horgus takes a huge gulp from his goblet, and immediately refills it again. You do know that Camellia killed 5 people while she lived under this roof, don't you? First, her mentor, an old Varisian woman, then 4 more. Well, they were thugs, bandits, and murderers. They had it coming, to tell the truth. They broke into this mansion seeking to rob us. That's Kenabres for you. A border city with all kinds of riffraff lurking about. The guards caught them, tied them up, and tossed them in the cellar. They never reported the break-in to the authorities. Why bother? Those thugs would have been executed anyway. Elrenor made short shrift of such rabble. Hick. Horgus belches noisily. But the things Camellia did to them down in the cellar, I never saw it myself. I only heard it. And then later, when I buried their corpses, I felt relieved that I was not in their place. Ha. Ha ha ha. Camellia remains silent. Only the sound of her labored breathing indicates that she is still here. Why did you condone Camellia's inclinations? Why did you protect her secret? Why did you cover up the murders? Horgus straightens his back proudly. Camellia is the daughter of Horgus Gwerm, a true daughter, my blood, that may have concealed that fact from society. Yes, she is special, unusual, very sensitive to the world around her. Whose fault is it that the darn spirits drove her insane? I know nothing about spirits. I've never talked to them myself. But Camellia, she is naturally gifted. She understands them. She says we have a chance to learn how to close the world wound once and for all. This end justifies all means, doesn't it, Commander? What is a father to do? Horgus sighs heavily. His shoulders slump as if weighed down by a burden he's been carrying for many years. The bloodline of Horgus Gwerm cannot be broken, and I have no other heirs. Camellia, what's going on here? She remains silent. You can't see her face, but you hear her breathing, shallow and fast. Her shoulders are rising and falling jerkily. Her right hand is trembling. Yeah, I figured this is what was going to happen as soon as they said he was here. Camellia, explain. Camellia jolts slightly and turns to you. Her eyes seem to look right through you. Her lips are parted, and her rasping breath reminds you of an animal's growl. Her right hand is clutching a thin stiletto that seems to have come out of nowhere. Isn't it obvious? Horgus stands up heavily from the table and approaches his daughter, stumbling a little. It has finally come to take my life. I've been waiting for this moment since the day it all began. I knew it would come. Of course, I'd hoped that Camellia would placate her spirit somehow, or perhaps that the commander would close the world wound and put an end to all these sacrifices. But it's too late for that now. I'm ready to die. My whole life is a lie. It does not even feel like mine, but someone else's. I did everything I could to ensure that the name of Horgus Gwerm would go down in history and his bloodline live on. I have had to lie and cover up crimes along the way. Well, the time has come to pay the piper. If my death helps to uncover the secret of closing the world wound, well, it's not the worst way to go. Horgus gulps. But before you do what you came here to do, Camellia, let me reveal my final secret to you. Camellia's voice sounds alien and unfamiliar. It is hoarse and low, like gravel crunching underfoot. Talk. Your mother Iris genuinely loved you, Camellia. And after she saw how you killed that pup in the garden, she started to worry about you. It was she who insisted on the doctors and the sidekicks and the exorcists. They all examined you, but nothing helped. You kept on killing animals, neighboring cats, stray dogs. You told us stories about the spirits who whispered in your ear. Iris didn't believe you really had a special ability to communicate with the spirits. She didn't think you were gifted, but I did. As if a daughter of Horgus Gwerm could be no more than a lunatic. Several years passed like that. Several very grueling years. For Iris more than myself. And then one night, Horgus swallows a lump in his throat. I entered your room and saw Iris leaning over your bed with a pillow in her hands. I pushed her away from you. It was dark. Iris stumbled and hit her head on the corner of a cabinet. I buried her in the garden and planted a flower bed of camellias over her grave. I thank the gods that you remembered nothing of that horrible night. Now you know everything, Camellia. Did you kill Camellia's mother? Horgus sighs. It was an accident, but I was prepared to do it, and I'd do the same again if I had to. The bloodline of Horgus Gwerm cannot be broken. Forgive me, Camellia. Forgive me for keeping you locked away. Forgive me for never acknowledging you as my daughter. Forgive me for depriving you of your mother, and never being able to replace her. Now I've said everything. I'm ready. You killed my mother, and you decided to tell me that now. Camellia's whisper sounds like a hissing of a venomous snake. Why? Unburden your soul? To show me how you protected me back then? Maybe you're hoping I'll hesitate before I stab you in your disgusting heart. Or are you trying to make me weep for my mother, the innocent victim? Well, I don't give a darn about her. She wanted me dead and she failed. Good riddance, I say. I don't give a darn about you either, Horgus Gwerm. I don't care about your bloodline, or about any excuses you can come up with. Do you really think I couldn't have escaped your mansion if I wanted to? You never acknowledged me as your daughter. There's no skin off my nose. You wanted to marry a noble woman to continue the Gwerm line. Well, that was your own affair. You provided for me, and didn't try to stop me communing with the spirits. I never wanted anything more from you. But now I don't need you anymore. I have Don Quixote, who will protect me and hide me from justice if it comes for me. Alright, hold on now. As for you, you're just garbage left over from my former life. It's time to dispose of you. The stiletto trembles in Camellia's hand. She grips the handle so tight, her knuckles turn white. Camellia, stop. She turns her clouded gaze on you. The spirits crave his blood. I crave his blood. Together we have sealed his fate. You shouldn't kill him. No matter what he's done, he's still your father. I don't 100% agree with this, but in this situation, I do think that's the better option. The stiletto in Camellia's hand flies up and freezes in front of Horgus Gwerm's heart. A moment passes, then another. Finally, Camellia exhales loudly and lowers her weapon. Leave. Get out of my life, Horgus Gwerm. Horgus opens his mouth to say something, but immediately shuts it without saying a single word. He lingers for a moment, then nods briefly and leaves. It's all over now. I've rid myself of my past. I suppose I should feel happy. Why then do I feel so tired? Camellia gets to her feet and smooths her tousled hair. It was all over too quickly. Don't you agree, my friend? As if something was missing. It's like having sex without climaxing. The end result is naught but exhaustion. Let's have some more fun, shall we? Why didn't you tell me that Horgus would be waiting for us in Kenabres? Camellia shrugs, a trifle confused. I just didn't. Perhaps I wanted to surprise you. Or perhaps I was worried that you'd try to talk me out of it. Well, I mean, I did anyway. So, are you ready to talk to Mariah now? No, not quite yet. But don't worry, I shall be ready soon. Just one last step. One final drop. Is she going to attack me? Did Mariah really crave Horgus's blood? Or was it you who wanted it? Camelia's gaze sharpens for a moment, but she quickly relaxes. Yes and yes. Mariah and I are one. Her desires are my desires. We have become quite inseparable at this point. What did you have in mind? Camelia's voice drops to a conspiratorial whisper. I want to make up for lost time. To let loose like never before. To celebrate my ultimate liberation. There are an awful lot of servants in this mansion. Let's gather them all in the garden and feed Mariah with their blood together. You and I. What do you say? I've never done this with another person before. Until now, you've only been an observer. And I want my first time to be with you, my friend. Camellia, stop. You've killed enough. An arrogant expression emerges on Camelia's face. What right do you have to tell me what to do? I did not break free from Horgus's tyranny, only to surrender to yours. I am free now. I shall do as I please. Besides, it is Mariah's will. Paltry 10 servants and we shall be able to get through to her at last. The price is reasonable. Alright, this character is not pragmatic enough to select option 5. We're gonna go with 4. Camellia, I forbid you to kill innocent people. Ignore my order, and you'll regret it. You dared to give me an order. In your crusade, I saw nothing but rules and regulations. You know what? Screw you. Die, you son of a gun.
Save the last one for me.
You're not gonna win this fight. Just so you know.
Let's try this way.
This pain is excruciating.
She has last stand, so it's gonna be a couple more rounds before she dies. Okay. There we go. Well,
That is not far.
I had a sneaking suspicion that was gonna happen. Though I do wonder what happens if you actually pursue your quest to the end and kill the servants. I'm not gonna let this character do it. Initially, I was focusing on getting the good ending for all my for all the companions, but then we had to kill Wendawag, and it doesn't seem like you can do that in a single playthrough. There might be a way to do it. But not in this playthrough. Alright, I'm gonna call the episode... Oh, wait, can we just... Oh, we can't do it outside of Kenabres. Or, well, we can't teleport while we're in Kenabres. Alright, I'm gonna call the episode here. Off camera, I'll leave Kenabres, teleport back to Dresden, and then we will do probably Ember's quest next. We'll also check in on the Crusade and see if there's any new decrees to issue. But for now, thanks for watching. I will see you guys in the next one.